No middle class. What's that got to do with the real estate market up here in Northeast Florida in this Jacksonville metro area? Well, I'm going to show you it's a domino effect. And let's start off by this headline. Right here, 6 cities the middle class can't afford to live anymore. Now when we scroll down here, we look, and the only one that's in Florida is in Miami. So if I'm showing you an article about the middle class can't afford to live in Miami, what's that got to do with Jacksonville up here, okay? Well, this is what happens, the domino effect I'm talking about. Real estate up here is affected by several things. People moving in here from out of state, and also people moving from within the state. So what happens is not only do you get people from out of state coming into North Florida because they're finding it's more affordable than the rest of the state, but the people in Miami area, that Fort Lauderdale area, are getting squeezed out, middle class, and they're looking to relocate in other places like Tampa, Orlando, or Jacksonville. And since Jacksonville has the best deals versus Tampa and Orlando's and Miami, then that's what increases our activity up here. So it does affect the real estate market up here. Now, just to give you an idea how bad it is down there, we look at this house here on Zillow that's for sale. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,216 square feet, built in 1957. The lot is just 7,500 square feet, and it's listed for $549,500. That's $452 a square foot. Now, with the tax millage in that area, now this is in North Dade, so it's a suburb of Miami, your taxes would be $12,433 a year. You know, and I think I might just use this one on my Sunday night show where I compare the houses there. For those of you that are new to the channel, I do have that. But tonight, what we're going to cover here, where I look over the market conditions up here in this Jacksonville metro area. So I'm going to go back into my MLS account. That's because, you know, I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here, and I have an MLS account, and I share it with you every week. So tonight we're going to be looking at these things. We're going to be looking at the existing inventory. So that's your active listings. Also going to look and see what sold in the last 7 days. How many houses sold in the last 7 days? How did people pay for those houses? And we're going to look at also new construction to see how many new homes sold. What is the new construction inventory? Also, I take a look and see how many homes are listed as foreclosure status, pre-foreclosure short sales that are in the active listings, and a whole lot more. And I even cover some of the condominiums that's going on right now up here. So right now, let's start off with the back of my MLS account, and we're going to look at those active listings. And by the way, if you hear a bunch of noise in background, I'm on location in front of a new house, and it's a construction site, so there's a lot of activity around. All right, let's look at those active listings right now. All right, here we are in the back end of my Northeast Florida MLS account, and what we're going to start off with is the active listings. We're going to go through a series of things. We're going to see here different statuses. Now, what I want you to focus on is this spot right here that says View Results, because as I click on these different statuses, that number will show up and it'll give us the results of what they are. All right, and this is real time. So we're going to look and see, first of all, we're going to start off with those active listings, which is the inventory here. And so that number is 9,583. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many sold in the last 7 days. This is total of everything, 556. Okay, now what I do is I go over and I take this and I'm going to export all this information. Now, when I export all this sold data, it's going to give me a lot more information than what we're seeing in the back end here. That's when I create these Excel sheets and I pull all that information out for you later in the show here tonight. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is what is active under contract. That is 1,218. Now what those are homes that are under contract right now, but they have contingencies. That contingency can be a repair, an appraisal, a finance, or if somebody has to sell another house in order to close on this house. All right, next we're going to look and see after the contingency is removed, they go into pending status. So how many went pending in the last 7 days? That number is 349. And when you add up the pending and the active under contract, that gives you your total under contract. Next, we're going to look and see how many people withdrew their listings in the last 7 days. That number is 81. Now, withdrawn are still active listings. They just can't be shown. And most common is for people who are doing repairs on the house, or maybe somebody is sick and they're at home and they don't want to show the house. Of course, they don't want people coming in when they're sick. We saw a lot of that in the COVID thing with withdrawals. Next, we're going to take a look and see how many listings expired in the last 7 days. That number is 144. Now, these are no longer, active listings. They did not sell, and so they were off market right now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to take a look at is I want to see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. New homes is 176, and then we want to see what the inventory is. We want to look and see what the active listings are for the new homes. And their inventory is 2,291. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I take a look and see how many are statused as foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, or short sales in the active listings. First thing we're going to look at is foreclosed. These are status as foreclosures. Next, we're going to look at pre-foreclosures. That number is 20, and next we look at short sales. That number is 32. All right, now what I do is I take all that data that I exported, and when I export it, it gives me a lot more information than what we just saw right there, looking into the back end. So while all that's sorting out, now it's going to go into an Excel spreadsheet. It looks something like this, and it's kind of messy and hard to read. And I put it into an Excel spreadsheet of my own like this, makes it easier to read, and we can track it from the previous weeks and the previous year. Makes it a little easier. While all that's calculating out, let's see what those interest rates did this last week. All right, here we're at the 30-year fixed rates, and on each chart we will see down here at this rate down here at the bottom where this one says 6.48. That's where we start on all these charts, and that was where we left off last week. At the top here is where we finished at 6.41. So we see the rate did go down. Now the arrows over here on the side will show whether they went up or down for that individual day, and we had more green arrows going down than up. And then over here, I am now showing the prior year, because I know everyone thinks everything's crap right now, but it was worse. It actually is getting better. And these were the rates a year ago. You can see they were well into the 7s, okay? Now let's take a look and see what those FHA rates are, because they're generally a little bit less. Okay, you see last week we were at 5.94, so we did dip into the 5s. We have more green arrows down, then red arrows up, and we ended up at 5.8. Okay, at one time there it was 5.75 again. We had that a little while ago. As we look over at last year's, we see we were at, in the 7 and just below 7 into the high 6s. All right, next let's take a look at those VA rates. Okay, last week we were at 5.95. We ended up at 5.82. Again, the same green arrows and red arrows as the FHA, and pretty close to what the FHA rates were. And also there we see prior years. Actually, the VA was a little bit, we didn't have any there that were at the 7, except the first one down there at the bottom. Okay, I get a lot of calls from people talking about the numbers, saying, how come my numbers don't match these people that have these doom and gloom videos out there? I just show you the numbers what they are, and if those numbers go down the toilet, I'm going to show them too. So I mean, that's just the way it is. Hey, if you like the way I put this show together, or as you're watching it, the rest of the show, then give me a thumbs up, okay? Right now we're going to, at those interest rates, isn't it interesting to see what it was a year ago? I mean, it's gotten better, but people have, right now don't feel it, but the numbers show that it has as far as the rates go. Prices of homes are still up there though. All right, let's take a look at those Excel sheets right now. All right, here we are in the Excel spreadsheets, and I'm on the main sheet here right now. And of course, because I get new people every week to this show, I do a brief explanation, show you how simple this is. We're in week 16 of season 3 right here under this column in yellow, and you'll see the other column yellow. That was last week's, okay, so that we can compare. And then what I'll do is I can move this over so that we can see another week even. So that makes it even better. All right, so in the yellow is the current weeks and the previous current weeks we had. In the white directly next to it is last year. Okay, so last year, season 2, week 16, those are the numbers. YOY is the difference in percentage, year over year, difference in percentage. And then over here in the light blue is SFH, which is single family homes, and that's where I pulled the single family homes out of that, just put them separate, okay? So we can compare them. So let's start off right now with this week, week 16, and we got active listings, 9,583. As you can see, that is slightly up from last week over here, and we're going to compare between last week to see the difference, and you can always look and see the week before if you'd like, and then also, you know, last year we see that difference. Sold this week, 556. So that is a big increase. Last week we were at 453, okay? 556, and we're up about from last year's. This wasn't supposed to happen because we're crashing, right? So how are sales going up? Well, they are. Active under contract, 1,218. Okay, that number's down from last week. Pending, okay, 349. Now that number's up, but the total under contract, 1567, is down from last week. So we'll see how that affects sales because, you know, not everything pending closes. So, you know, just because it's in pending doesn't mean it's going to be counted as a sale here, you know, in a week or two. All right, withdraws 81, expires 144, new homes sold 176. All right, so here we are. We're, you know, second week of increased sales for new homes. New homes active inventory 2291, up just a couple. Here in the orange is the percentage of homes sold that are new. We're over 30% of homes sold were new construction homes. Okay, now single family homes, we see the numbers there, 7096, so that is actually down from last week as far as the inventory goes. Sold definitely jumped up, 427. Active under contract, 972, that's down. Pending, 272 is up, so total under contract, 1244. That is actually up over last week, okay. Withdrawals, 61, expires 104. New homes sold, definitely a big jump there. Last week, 87, now we're at 129. And new homes active, 1,764. And we're just slightly above 30% of all homes sold were new construction homes. All right, so how did everyone pay for these homes? Okay, here we are, week 16. Cash, 23.74, so that dropped, okay? Conventional is about the same. FHA took a jump up there to over 20%. VA dropped a little bit, down to 1277, and others stayed pretty close to the same at 252. Okay, these are the homes that are in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, and short sale status of the active listings. 184 in foreclosure status, 20 in pre-foreclosure, 30 in short sales, total 236. We continue to drop. The foreclosure dam has not broken yet, okay, because some people say it's going to happen. I don't know if it will. I don't know. I mean, a lot of factors will have to go into that. But right now it's not. And this is not increasing the inventory. Okay. Next, we look at the percentage of homes that sold under list, at list, and above list. All right. So we see the homes that sold under list up a little bit to 77.16. Homes that sold at list, pretty much close to the same, 1277. Homes that sold above list dropped a little bit, so we're at 10%. And I just want to make a comment, those homes that are sold above list, there are a few that sold for large numbers, but a lot of them aren't as big as they used to be. All right, let's break it down into the price brackets. Okay, 500,000 and above, the percentage of homes sold that were in that dropped to just under 25%. Homes that sold in the 400 range, up, and homes that sold in the 300 range, down, and then the homes that sold in the 200 range, up. All right, and then the homes that sold below, down, okay? Now, over here on the right, what I do is I take and I put the new homes that are sold, the individual numbers at these price ranges. So you see there was a total of 176 new homes sold. We had 39 were 500 and above, 28 in the 400s, 63 in the 300s, 46 in the 200s. Now, what kind of like changed here was the 500 and above and the 300s used to be the sweet spot. They were pretty close to the same there. Now, under 200 overtook it, and I remember, you know, I mean, well, these are new homes, so, you know, there's no condos in there, but there could be some townhouses. Okay, while we're talking about these new homes, okay, let's look. The new homes that sold under list, the percentage, it dropped a little bit, 71% there. Homes that sold at list dropped also to 10.8, and homes that sold above list jumped. This I thought was surprising, okay, the homes that sold above list jumped, because we're told that the builders are scared right now, and they're, you know, there's going to be a half price sale coming, but we haven't seen it yet, although I did see some incentives getting better. I got some emails about some price reductions, so there are some coming. They're not reflected in these numbers, okay? So they may be reflected in the coming next few weeks, okay? So we'll just keep an eye on that to see, you know, where they're at. And also the buy downs for the percentage, I saw one that was at 3.99. You know, this, I just want to mention here, we're going to go on to a lot more. I still got plenty more left tonight to show you. This Excel spreadsheet that I use, especially like here, the main log right here, goes all the way back when I started this show back there on May 19th, 2022. So if you would like to download this spreadsheet that I use on this show with all these numbers, the same one, then it's available in my weekly newsletter. Just send me an email telling me you want to be subscribed to the newsletter, and you'll get it on Tuesdays, and this is in their download. Also that's downloadable are the MLS sheets for the houses of the week and the condos of the week that I'm going to be covering just in a few moments. Okay, now the next thing I do is what is called MLS Advantage. All right, what I just showed you was everything from the Northeast Florida MLS, which is the biggest MLS board up here. But there's all these other smaller boards. There's like St. Johns County, St. Augustine, stuff like that, Flagler County, and everyone cross-sells. Now with the internet, everyone cross-sells, okay? So what I do is MLS Advantage looks at the 9-county metro area here in Jacksonville. Some people say it's 7, I say it's 9, so I show you the 9 counties, okay? And it's these counties right here you see on this map. Now, what this does is I just look at the solds, and then I break it down by county so you can see how many sold in each county and which county was stronger than another in this previous week. So right now, let's go to MLS Advantage. We're going to look at that, and then right after that, we're going to quickly look at some condo information. All right, here we are into the MLS Advantage, and down here we look at the 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. Johns, Flagler, and Putnam. All right, we'll go over here and I hit the search button, and it'll give us our total units sold in the MLS Advantage. That number is 756. All right, when we put the county numbers into the charts here, we look at Baker had 3, Union had 0, Bradford had 4, Clay 69, Nassau 70, Duval 274, St. John's 202, Flagler 118, Putnam 16, for a total of 756. So we see we do have a jump. We have an increase in sales there, but a few counties went down. As you can see, you know, Putnam, Flagler, Bradford, Baker, and then Union stayed the same with zip. All right, here we are. I'm going to go quickly over the condominiums, their sheets. It has a little more sheets than what the regular was. Just briefly, the Florida condo law states now that these condo associations have to keep a reserves for their repairs and maintenance, which they had been doing, and it's effective for condos that are, the total units are, the building is 3 stories or above, or the age is 25 to 30 years, depending on where it's located. So we go through all that data, and I'm just going to quickly go through it so everyone can see it. Those that are interested in the condos pretty much know and can look at it. Here's the first chart. This is the main log where it shows the active solds and so forth. And we had, as we can see, the solds went up 43, and so did the inventory also went up. But the total under contract dropped a lot. Okay, and news, nothing really new there. Okay, here we look at how people pay for those condos, and we see that almost 49% cash, so it dropped a little bit. An increase in conventional. FHA had an increase there. VA dropped quite a bit from last week, although that was unusual last week what we had. And over here on the side is where I show those numbers are the units that that sold for those type of financing. 21 of them were cash, 20 was conventional, 1 FHA and 1 VA. Total of 43. Our foreclosure number stayed the same. This here is the sold under list, at list, and above list, and you can see those that sold under list really jumped this week up to 93%. The ones that sold at list also went up, and the condos that sold above list, none. So the numbers on the side shows 40 units under and 3 at list. All right, when we break it down by the pricing categories, you can see here those that were 500 and above almost doubled from last week. Those in the 400s plummeted. Condos in the 300s went up a little bit. In the 200 range dropped, and those below 200 increased. So we're seeing some going down there. Here's the unit numbers on the side. So 6 of them were at 500 and above, 1 at 400, 6 in the 300s, 14 in the 200s, and 16 below 200. So those condo prices looks like they're dropping. We're getting more of it into that below 200 now. All right, nothing new in the news, so we move on. Okay, here's where I break it down by the stories, the total stories of the complex, and you see how many units sold for the stories, and I'll just scroll down so that you can take a look and pause it if you'd like. Okay, here we go because of the year of the age of the condos. On the far right there, you see that's the total stories of the complex, and then that is the age of the unit when it was built. So the first one was a one-story condo built in 2011. The second one was built in 2015, one story, and so on. I'll go ahead and scroll down this, and you can pause it as you'd like. Okay, these are the counties that where the condos were sold. 3 of them in Clay, 29 in Duval County, 9 in St. John's, 1 in Nassau, and 1 in a county outside of our MLS. Okay, this chart here shows the original list price, the sold price, and then the difference. So you see the first one sold for $90,000 below the list price, and so on, and that's how it goes all the way down. So I'll scroll this for you so you can take a look at it, and you can pause it as you'd like. All right, next segment I'm going to be covering is houses of the week, or condos of the week also, and that's where I take a house of the week. I take some houses. I'll take one that's sold below list and one sold above list. Same thing with the condos, and we look at it and see what people paid for that house when they bought it, how much their appreciation was on it, how much less did they take for it, what the price per square foot was on that house. So we look at all this information and compare it so you get an idea. And why do I do that? It's because there's deals out there, but also some of them, if you wait and you don't jump on it, then you lose. Depending on where it's at in the house, the price could go up. And that's those ones. Now, I'll tell you this, the ones that are going up aren't going up as much as they used to, and the majority of the homes out there, as you saw in the Excel spreadsheets, are selling below list price. Something else I need to talk about, all right, is this. Everything's in the news about the new way real estate is being sold, how buyers are dealing with purchasing a home, these agreements. We all know that when you're listing a house, you have a listing agreement, right? But now there is a buyer's agreement if you're looking to buy a house. I know you know, some people say, well, I'm not signing anything to go look at a house. All right, let me just show you. what came from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. This is a question of answers, and I'm going to point out a few things for you to let you know, because this is through the whole country. It's not just here in Florida. Here, take a look at this. I mean, these questions, it's unbelievable how much it is. And I've gone through a lot of courses and seminars and stuff in person and online, and Zoom calls with people. So I really do understand this. So right away, let's do the first thing. I'm not signing an agreement to tour a home. Just saying, okay, well, we look at here, number 61. Okay, here I want to focus down here on the bottom paragraph right here. A written buyer agreement is required prior to a buyer touring a home. An MLS participant working with the buyer can enter into the written buyer agreement at any point, but must do so by no later than prior to the buyer touring the home. Okay, so you need the buyer agreement to tour the home. Now, people want to define, you know, what is touring the home. You look at here at 62, you'll see here that right here it says that the buyer entered the house. Okay, that's touring the home. The buyer enters the house. But it doesn't stop there, because it also says that if a live virtual tour is provided and the buyer is not physically present, then it also needs an agreement. But then some of you are saying, well, you know what? I heard that if I just go to the listing agent, I can bypass that. I don't have to see that. Well, that only happens in open houses if you're just looking through. But if you're going to be working with that agent or anything, or any listing agent, well, look at this. Well, if you look at question 84, okay, this one here, I mean, it doesn't get any more plain than this. I mean, right here, this part, just working with the buyer and the seller, so a written buyer agreement is required. Now, will there be some agents that may not follow the rules? Okay, some may not even, I'm telling you, some of the agents don't even know the rules. This is the problem. This isn't just a suggestion. This is the settlement. This has to be done. It's followed. And I'm telling you who's going to be watching. The Department of Justice is going to be watching realtors and brokers. They're also going to be watching, now the MLSs have just been deputized as their own police force to oversee all this, and they're going to be watching brokers, they're going to be watching agents, and there's going to be fines down, and they're coming hard on agents that don't follow these rules. So while you might find someone that does, you're in the middle of a transaction to purchase a house. $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 of your money that's going to buy a house. And what if in the middle your agent is caught for not following the rules and taken down? Is that what you want? All I'm saying is, now more than ever, you got to have the right agent. Hey, and if you'd like to put me into the mix when you're looking to buy or sell, then just give me a call. Let's set up an appointment where we can get together, and then I can explain in more detail how all this happens. All right, let's go now to those houses of the week. All right, here we are starting off with the house that sold below list price. Okay, this home here built in 2024. Yes, it is new construction, a new home. It's in St. Johns County, 1,841 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. All right, let's check out the history on this. It's got a long history. This one has a long history. All right, started out at $535,410. Okay. In just 4 days, they raised the price to $564. Now, all these houses of the week you're going to see here at the bottom is where it starts the price. And then you see over here on the side the dates, okay, days on the market. And then over here on the left is events, okay, like open houses and such. All right, as we see here, we track the price. I mean, it flip-flopped around a lot about here. Ended up coming down to $449,910, then $498,910. As you can see, it changed. After 277 days on the market, they took an offer for $434,688. But at the time that they took that offer, the price was lowered to $454. Okay, so that is quite a drop. Now, I just want to let you know, when a new house goes on the market, okay, for this long, I mean, first of all, these houses probably went on when they were just pouring the foundation or before, okay? That's why they're on the market so long. But sometimes they wait until they're almost done, maybe 2 months out before they actually put them in the MLS. But this one was done early. But I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get $100,000 off a house right when it goes on the market, okay, for that first month, you know, on these new homes. Now, this had been on the market for a while, and they dropped it, and they didn't take that price until they had dropped the price to $454 themselves. So just keep that in mind. I know it's a lot, but I'm just saying, if you see something that's been on the market a while, you may have a better chance at getting a better price. And in this case, they did. Now, as we look down here, we see that house actually then ended up selling for $236 a square foot. And there were no concessions on this either. So, you know, that's it. And because it's a new home and all, we don't have an appreciation calculator for this one. Okay, now we're going to look at the house of the week that sold for above list price. Okay, 2024, yep, another new house. So we're doing the flip side here. This one's in St. Johns County also. 2,500 square feet. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, okay? Let's take a look at the history. Now, as you can see here, this one started off at $454,990, okay? So it was on the market there for about a month before they started to raise the price and went to $458. Then they brought it up to $548, okay? I mean, quite a difference. I guess they just, you know, the market was just, they felt it was justifying that. Well, they kept it up like that for a while, and ended up lowering the price to $505,990 when they got an offer for that $505,990. Okay, now this is a case where, all right, had these folks seen this house in the first month there, it would have been $454,990. I mean, when it's in the MLS, that's the price, okay? It's not like when you're seeing these prices that say starting at, you know, $400, and then they add the lot premium and everything else. No, this is what you're buying it for. So this is a case that not all the houses, depends on where they are, the model, all that, are going to, if they're on the market for a while. See, here we are, 199 days. You know, a lot of you are thinking, oh, we'd take 100,000 off of that easy. Not in this case. Nope. I mean, it was, you know, it went above the original asking. Okay, now as we look at this one here sold for $202 a square foot. So that's pretty good for a new house, okay? And this one here, concessions, they gave closing cost concessions of $34.59. Okay, now we're looking at the condo that sold for below list price. This condo here, built in 2006 in Duval County, 1,857 square feet. Total stories 2, so it does not fall into that new law, okay? Now, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and let's look here what its monthly fees are, just for grins anyhow. It's got 2 of them. So one of them is $250 a month and the other one is $342 a month, okay? As we look at the history on this, okay, it started out at $349,900. They lowered it, you know, by about, you know, $1,500 to $348,400, at which time they got an offer for $315 after 91 days on the market. Okay, here we can see down here what they paid for it. They bought it for $295 in November of 2021. So they bought it, you know, when everything was going up, and now they're selling it, you know, when everything was going down as far as the condos are. Right now it's not a good condo, even though it's not affected by the law. Just from osmosis, these condos are just, you know, getting hit. All right, take a look at the square footage on this, $169 a square foot, and there was no concessions. All right, so let's go check out an appreciation calculator for this. And we know it was going to be low, so they've had it less than 3 years, 2.4% per year, which is really low. That's half or more than what we would want to see. And what makes it even worse is because you know, it's so close in price that you see they bought it for $295, sold it for $315. By the time they had closing costs when they bought it, the closing costs when they sell it, everything, I mean, this was a loss. You know, every week I cover more and more information. That's it. Well, this week here, number 16 is in the can. And until Sunday night, I'm out of here.